Let's talk about Sri Ramana Maharshi.
Go for it.
Okay. So while Frank was out of town, I picked up a copy of this book called Who Am I?
Mike only reads when I'm out of town.
Yeah. Frank was gone. I was like, all right, I got a week to kill. Yeah. But pick this bad boy up. Who Am I? Sri Ramana Maharshi. This is great. So nice, simple, easy read. Not too many pages. But when I was going through this, the reason I kind of brought it up right now.
We are not getting any monetary value from the sale of the book.
I'm pretty sure there's like something about this where there's something like this shouldn't be a book of profit. Like this was super cheap. Like they even sell it dirt cheap on purpose for that reason. It's anybody and everybody should be able to afford it. Yeah, obtain a copy. So they're big about that, which was cool.
That's like when you go to a hotel. There's always a Bible.
Yeah, same type of thing.
But actually, lately I haven't seen Bibles in hotels.
I haven't been to one in forever, so I don't even know.
You had to wear Airbnb. They don't put Bibles.
It's been a while. I'm trying to think.
Maybe you should put that in there.
I'm gonna start leaving a copy.
We start going to like hotels here. Just take the Bible out and use this.
There you go.
People read it. It's a pamphlet.
Well, yeah, and it's only 12 pages.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice too. To be hey, it's an easy read.
Yeah, it's like the Bible. It's like they're never gonna get through it in the hotel stay.
One of the things I read about Bhagavan is that his first name's Bhagavan too. That's something I learned.
Bhagavan.
Yep. But anyway, so one thing I read about Bhagavan is he described. When it comes to books, he was like, yeah, it's great, read, learn, but keep in mind what this is about is about an experience, and you cannot experience, necessarily through constant reading. Always, it becomes back to the want. Oh, I'll find the answer. I just need to read more. I just need to find more. Mm-hmm. No, you are everything you are right now. But what was great about Bhagavan is, so he was back, what was it? First half of the 20th century. And I heard this story one time where he had some visitor come to his ashram. And so it's his place of, meditation, worship, whatever you want to call it, peace, spirituality. And at the ashram, he said to Bhagavan, he's like, how do I know I'm on the spiritual path? And his response was very straightforward and simple. And he was like, the only true criterion is the absence of thought. And I thought that was extremely powerful. And what he's getting at when he says that is a true measurement of, enlightenment, the path, the spirituality, what we're all seeking essentially is, number one, there's nothing to seek. You already are. But at the core of this, it's becoming aware of the mental commentary within our minds. Or within our heads, whatever you want to say it. And that's what he's drawing us to, or drawing our attention to, is waking up. When somebody says that they have woken up, they have become aware that there is a voice inside of their head that has been talking and narrating their experience. And the person or the awareness has been associated to that. And so we've been living our lives day in, day out, as this voice in our head, which is actually subconscious thought. And we have not been able to detach from that mental commentary. We think we are that person talking. So if you're at home right now saying, what voice is that? You are associating with a mental commentary and thinking you are that voice. And what Frank and I want you to experience is detaching and seeing that voice for what it is. It's not you. That is mental commentary. And the more and more you practice and put in the effort with these methods, the less and less that mental commentary has a grip and a presence in your everyday life. And that's really what Sri Ramana was getting at. Yeah. So he released this book called Who Am I? And he's all about self-inquiry. And so self-inquiry is a great way, a great method that Frank and I, of course, believe in. You've got to go within for everything. But what he meant by self-inquiry is he wanted you to see that you are not the person. So how he phrases it, and I brought it right here so I could remember this, is he asks us to ask the question, to whom has this thought arisen? And of course, the answer would be, well, to me. Okay, so well, what is to me? So therefore, if one inquires, who am I? The mind will go back to its source, and the thought that arose will then become quiet. So what he's saying here is each thought that comes up, we ask, who is having this thought? And that thought, when we bring it back to, it is the person, not the awareness having that thought. And you detach from it. And you do this over and over. And you no longer become attached to this idea of yourself. This is where the no like and dislike comes into play. You aren't a person. A person can only like or dislike. And so it's a awareness to what's going on. It's a silence. It's a space. It's a gap. That's who I am. That's what we are. And so he dives deep into that, and I think that is great. Something that he personally really opened up my eyes when I read this book this last week was, I'm just gonna read it if that's cool with you, Frank.
Yeah, just read all 12 pages.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right?
Just stop in the beginning.
So no, he says,
once upon a time.
are there no other ways, or are there no other means, excuse me, are there no other means for making the mind quiescent, so making the mind quiet? And so this is how he responded, and I thought this was brilliant because Frank and I, meditation is a great way to calm the mind. So he says, other than self-inquiry, there are no adequate means. That's a very bold statement. He's saying, without realizing, who am I? I'm not the person. I'm the awareness. There are no other means. You will not attain enlightenment. You will not find yourself simply by meditating constantly throughout the day. It needs to be an experience of the self, of the silence. And so he says, if through other means it is sought to control the mind will appear to be controlled, but will go again forth. Through the control of breath, the mind will also become quiet, but it will remain quiet only so long as the breath remains controlled. And when the breath resumes, the mind also will again start moving and will wander as impelled by residual impressions. So when he says impressions, he's meaning perspective. How do we see this? What did our mind project, assign a meaning to? That is an impression. So as we control our breath, we see that the breath is mind. And that's where he gets at. And that's where he goes next. The source is the same for both mind and breath. Thought indeed is the nature of mind. The thought I is the first thought of the mind, and that is the ego. It is from there the ego originates, that breath also originates. So mind, ego, breath, this is all the same thing. We are the awareness of this.
Just
we are not.
Degrees of it, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, back to the degrees. So then it goes on and it says, let me pull this up. It's about impression. Okay. Like the practice of breath control, meditation on the forms of God, repetition of mantras, restriction on food, are aids for rendering the mind quiet, but they are not the means. You will not solely obtain what you are quote unquote seeking.
Those are the permission slips of what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so to also be clear too, it's like we understand is every human being is on the spiritual path, but when we learn to quiet the mind, we actually enjoy the path. So everyone's got a ticket to the play, but if you constantly are chattering, you're missing the play in the way it was meant to be presented. So when we learn to quiet our mind, you actually enjoy the path that you've always been on. So that's when the path becomes known. And so like when you're talking about breath, let's take this down to basic understandings. So everyone knows if they've done any athletic performance, when an athlete, and let's take a runner, there's a thing called the runner's high. And when do the runner's high come in? It's when they control their breath. Because when you first start running, I don't care how long you've been running, you have to burn and get the rhythmic aspect of the breath and then the amount of energy you're actually burning up and as your movement. So the body has to then pull in oxygen more. So you're breathing heavier. So there's a bit of uncomfortableness. Then your body goes through cramping and muscles and oxygen moving through. But then there becomes a point, if you go long enough, that the amount of oxygen that's coming into your system is the same amount of energy you're exerting, and that becomes the breath under control, and you're no longer thinking, and that's what they call the runner's high. So if a runner out there is like, what's this high? It's because your breath is pulling in enough energy, because that's what breath is, air is. It's information and energy into the body at the same rate you're exerting energy. It's almost like you're attached to a fuel tank in your car and you'll never run out of gas. But in the beginning, you have to stop, or you can feel it and you push through. But once you get that natural rhythm of breathing, whether you're running or doing anything, you're no longer thinking. You just you're bringing in energy. You're in that flow, and it's the most brilliant thing. And people say, how long can I stay there? A long time. But to step out of it is to understand you were in it. So we live in this rhythmic world. So I must sway right to understand what the swaying of left is. So we play that game. So it's not to be, when I'm out of it, don't be disappointed.
Well, and like one thing, this flow that Frank's describing.
Because even for him to write that book, he had to get into the state of thinking. But yet the words probably came to him in the state of breath.
I should probably share that too. So one cool thing about this was recorded by a member of his ashram. And at first, Bhagavan wasn't speaking. Mm-hmm. It was not, I'm taking a vow of silence, nothing like that. He just did not feel compelled to speak. But essentially...
Karen wishes that of me sometimes.
Why don't you just be compelled not to speak, Frank?
Like, hey, how about you do the vow of silence just for the evening? I'm like, yeah.
So, what one of the members of the ashram did is he went to Bhagavan and, asked these, I think it's 13, or no, I believe it's 12 questions, and then there's a version with 24 questions. Mm-hmm. So he asked him these 12 or 24 questions, and Bhagavan wrote in the dirt basic answers.
Like I did when I was 5 with a stick. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. And so that these were the recorded answers, to these questions that were asked of him.
So this is pretty much a...
It's great. I would highly recommend it. You can find a free PDF online if you just Google Who Am I PDF.
It's pretty much a transcript. It's not...
Oh, yeah.
So it's not really a thought-out book. It was transcribed.
Yep.
So whatever he said, all right.
Yeah, right here. It was the questions were put to Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi by Sri M. Siva Prakasam Pillai about the year of 1902. Sri Pillai was a graduate in philosophy and was at the time employed at...
And paper was very tough to come by back then. That's why he has to use dirt.
Yeah, seriously. Met the Maharashi there. But great book.
Yeah, I'm going to read it.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth reading, and it's eye-opening. It's so short. It's so simple. It's to the point. This is something that you can pick up, and reflect on.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you just pick up, and it's a great reminder. Yeah. Kind of pulls you out of this play.